Hello and welcome to the MyVA Dayton podcast, coming to you from Dayton, Ohio. This is the show where we talk with veterans in the Western Ohio region to share their stories and share what's happening at the Dayton VA Medical Center. I'm Scott Leese, your host, with co-host Greg Tucker. We have with us today an Army veteran from Dayton, Ohio, Kerry Brown.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm glad to have you here today with us. Hey, Kerry spent 8 years in active military service with the Army and 1 year as a reservist. He was a logistical supply specialist working ground tactics with helicopters as well. He's been stationed in Georgia, Texas, Germany, and served in Afghanistan twice. Before we get to know more about you, Kerry, we're going to put you to the test. That's right, it's time to play Don't Tell Me, I Think I Know That, a game where our listeners can also play along to see if their minds are mired in mounds of military minutia as ours are. Are you ready to take this challenge, Kerry?
Yes, I am. Let's do it.
Okay, so this is something we do with all our guests, but you're an Army veteran, so we tailored your questions specifically to you, especially as being an Army veteran. Your first question is, what is a group of frogs? Now we're talking about, how when a group of frogs get together, what do you call them? Would it be A, a gaggle, B, a throng, C, an army, or D, a swarm?
Well, Scott, let's see. I think I will have to go with C on that.
C, an army is the correct answer. And yeah, you got a clue that everything here today is going to have to do with the Army. So your next question is, when would you most likely use the acronym SPORTS, S-P-O-R-T-S? Would it be A, during a drill ceremony, B, when setting up a site, C, firing a weapon, or D, during PT, or good old physical therapy?
Well, Scott, this is a great question. I've done a lot of range time. I would definitely have to go with C on this.
C, yes, when firing a weapon. So yes, SPORTS is an acronym used to go through the steps of properly cycling your AR. Platforms and controls vary from one weapon to another, but the SPORTS, S-P-O-R-T-S method gives you a solid base to begin properly cycling and operating your weapon. Now, can you tell me what the acronym is? What the words are for the acronym?
Slap, pull, observe, release, tap.
And
shoot.
Shoot, absolutely. That's it. You got it. Yeah, that's probably the last one's probably one of the important ones.
Yes, it is.
All right. So your third and final question. You're doing great so far. Let's see if you can get the whole mess here. When did the U.S. send troops to Afghanistan to combat the Taliban? Would it be A, 1901, B, 1921, C, 2001, or D, 2021?
Well, Scott, I better know this answer. My dad actually got out in 2001, right before the war had kicked off, so I'm definitely going to go with C.
C is the right answer, 2001. Yes, in late 2001, the United States and its close allies invaded Afghanistan and toppled the Taliban government. The invasion's aims were to dismantle al-Qaeda, which had executed the September 11th attacks, and to deny its safe base of operations in Afghanistan by removing the Taliban government from power. So, Greg, what has he won for playing our game today?
Well, Kerry, you have won 4 Dayton VA industrial strength chip clips designed by NASA's aerospace engineers to keep your chips crisp on your next stellar journey, whether it's here or where? Beyond.
To infinity and beyond.
To infinity and beyond.
Thank you, Greg.
We're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll hear more from Army veteran Kerry Brown.
Even an Iraq vet like me who's in really good shape needs good health care, especially when it's top quality and convenient. And it's not just for men. In fact, aren't you a vet, Patricia?
Yeah, I served in the Air Force.
When I come to the VA, the people understand veterans' needs. I get great care with good doctors and nurses and state-of-the-art facilities. Because, hey, I was there and I earned it. And if you deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan, including with the Guard or Reserves, you did too. Here's another thing. I'm within 5 years of my time over there, so there's no copay for any service-related condition. That makes a difference to me. So why not come in today? When you check in, you'll get a full medical exam, first thing. Free for vets at the VA. Thanks, Doc. So check us out and see you here.
I was in the military, and I didn't know that when I left, I was eligible for health care through the VA. I thought you had to be disabled or have been wounded. Another vet told me I should check it out. Now I have the care I need at the Dayton VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
To enroll, call 937-268-6511, extension 5336, or visit dayton.va.gov.
And we're back with Army veteran Kerry Brown. So, Kerry, tell us what you do with Montgomery County.
Well, I work for Montgomery County Fleet Services. I am a fleet specialist. Within Montgomery County, we only have 3 fleet specialists, and it is a fairly new department, which came about a year and a half ago. It was literally just developed. So, as a fleet specialist, we keep the fleet running for Montgomery County. We keep the wheels rolling as far as parts. I process parts, I buy parts, I process invoices. I run a fuel island to make sure they always have fuel for any type of main breaks, anything that's going on. I mean, within the county, we have a lot of main breaks and emergencies. I also order WEX fuel cards, which our WEX system, everyone has a fuel card in every vehicle. So, that's how they pay for their fuel, whether it's diesel, unleaded, anything. So
how did you get into that?
Well, on my way home from my last tour, I had seen they had posted a position for a fleet specialist. And I didn't know what a fleet specialist was. So actually, my wife looked at the description and said, hey, I think you should apply for this. So I'm like, okay.
Because you had a little bit of experience in the military then.
Yes. Being a fleet specialist is pretty much logistics in any way. And while I was in the Army, that's what I did. I did logistics.
Yeah.
I was a logistics specialist. So I looked at the description, like I said, and she's like, hey, this is pretty much everything you've done. It's just with large trucks and vehicles, F-150, stuff like that. I'm used to helicopters and Humvees and all that good stuff. So I applied and did an interview, and they called me within about a day and said, hey, we'd like to hire you. Let's get it going.
And so that's not all you do, because I also understand you're very involved with the Springfield VA Clinic, that you actually do a lot of work with them, that you actually are a board member on their Veteran Advisory Council, or their Veteran Stakeholders Committee. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, with our committee, we have guest speakers. We discuss a lot of issues, whether it's benefits, how to get different veterans, their disability ratings, and homeless vets, how to get them assistance. And it really helps, because since I've been on the board, I've helped several veterans since I've been on the board, as far as disability, getting them to the right people, getting them talking to the right people, getting them appointments, making sure they're staying on top of their appointment.
And so you're talking about Crystal Baker, who is the Veteran Services Officer for Clark County.
Yes.
And you're actually putting them in contact with her. Tell me how you exchange with the Veteran Services Officer.
Well, usually I email her. She's a very important and very busy person, very busy. So usually what I do is I shoot her email. It usually takes about like a day or two. Now, if she's right in front of her computer, she'll shoot it right off immediately, which is great. But usually, yes, I shoot her email, and then she'll get back with me and say, hey, have them call this number and ask for this person, and they'll go ahead and get the help they need. They get set up for an appointment and all that good stuff, and they'll be on their way.
Now, you had mentioned that you live in Montgomery County,
I actually live in Greene County.
in Greene County.
Yes.
Okay. So how did you come about getting on the Veterans Advisory Board?
Well, actually, how I got on was Jerry Farrell. He was my mom and dad's neighbor, and he's probably one of the first people I met when I moved back home. And he pulled me aside the first day I met him, and he said, "Hey, I heard you had a little trouble getting some of your disability stuff together, and trying to get your claims right." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, I can actually help you if you would like for me to help you with that. I will show you the ropes." So I said, "Okay, Jerry, I really appreciate it." So then Jerry, actually, he got me in touch with Crystal, and I emailed her and I called her. We talked on the phone for a little bit, and she got me all the help I needed. I mean, she was a great help.
So tell us who Jerry is. I mean, Jerry and Crystal both have been guests on this podcast.
Really? Okay.
Yes, but Jerry, tell us about Jerry, who Jerry is, and who Jerry is to you.
Well, now Jerry is a long-term friend. I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, that's my guy, Jerry. That's. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. I mean, we meet up, we play pool. I mean, it's not even just because of the stakeholder committee. I mean, we hang out outside of that.
Yeah, and
as
he's
well.
dedicated to getting Purple Heart
Yes.
signed parking signs out for different places to ensure that Purple Heart veterans have a prime place to park at certain locations.
Yes, he is.
So tell us a little bit about how you've been helping homeless veterans and finding housing for them.
So I had my first homeless veteran approach me about 2 months ago, and he's actually married into the family. I mean, he hasn't had any guidance, anything. So I made a few phone calls down to the Dayton VA. I believe I got in touch with Tony, I believe is his name, and me and Tony talked, and he did look up the homeless vet. Once he looked him up, I mean, he pretty much spelled off name, age, everything. I'm like, yes, that is him. I am glad he is in the VA system because I didn't know if he was or not at the time. Tony said, "Hey, give him my number. This is everything we would do for him. And, I appreciate you bringing him my way." So I called the homeless vet and said, "Hey, man, listen, this is what you need to do. Here's the number. The guy's name is Tony. Give him a call. He already knows about you. He's already looked you up. I mean, he already has a game plan ready for you right now." So he called him up, and I mean, it was off to the races. Tony got him help immediately, and I want to say right now, I mean, he's not homeless. He has a place for his wife and his kids right now to live, and I mean, they really came through for him.
And it's always good to hear stories like that right there, or good outcomes, especially. One thing that, as we do our community outreach in the different areas, it never fails to amaze me how veterans continuously look out for other veterans, as far as continuing that motto of leaving no man or woman behind. Now, do you do, as far as how do you come across some other veterans that you've helped?
Just I don't know. I'm just kind of out in the world. I mean, I've came across veterans at work, and they've kind of found out like, hey, I heard that you've been helping veterans out, so I guess it's just more of word of mouth, suppose. And they're like, hey, if you have some time, I would like to sit down with you, and I want to see, what you're able to do with me or lead me in the right direction. So I take that time out, and hey, let's do it. Let's find a time and a place.
Yeah. You've actually helped no less than 5 veterans actually sign up for healthcare within the last year, correct?
Yes.
And that's phenomenal. Just like Greg says, no man left behind. You take that mantra to heart, and really we cannot thank you enough for sharing that information with fellow veterans about VA benefits.
If I can ask you, and this is transitioning as far as to another area, why or how did you go about joining the Army?
Well, to be honest with you, I was maybe in 7th grade, and I already told everyone I was going to the Army. There was nothing else I wanted to do. My dad was in the Army. He did about a total of 8 years. And then I just remember seeing him in his uniform and shining his boots and all that stuff. And then from there, I've always wanted to be a soldier. So when that time came, my dad took me to the Huber Heights. And he's like, hey, we're going to go talk to Staff Sergeant Grubbs and Sergeant Davis. And I said, okay, well, all right. And he said, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. And I said, no, I really want to go. I do want to do this. He's like, I just don't want you to feel like I'm making you do this. If you want to go to college, you can go to college. I said, no, I'd rather go to the Army, become a soldier. And from then on, 2011 enlisted, and I was off to the races, ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, and you had a very active career over 8 years as active duty. You were stationed in quite a few different places in the U.S., in Georgia and Texas, but you also spent some time in Germany. What did you do in Germany?
So in Germany, I was there in Illesheim, Germany, and we were there actually in support of another unit from Alaska. And pretty much the maintenance guys, they provided maintenance on the Blackhawks, Chinooks, and Apaches. Now, my job was, I was in tech supply, which is pretty much like aviation logistics. So my job was to pretty much make sure they had everything they needed to repair those birds, as far as the wings, the pins, the engines. If you really look at the breakdown of a bird, which is a helicopter, it's very expensive. Very expensive. And you'll really be surprised of the little things that's holding it together. It's not much.
No, it's not. Light aircraft are kept light, and that's by actually minimizing the parts and what they're made of, et cetera, and so forth. And it's a very expensive proposition to keep any bird in flight.
Yes.
So you had 2 years or 2 tours actually in Afghanistan as well.
Yes.
Your first time was in 2014, and your second was in 2019. Tell us about those experiences.
So in 2014, by this time, I think I had only been in the Army maybe about a year and a half, maybe, before I came down on orders to go to Afghanistan. Pretty much our mission was to go over there and shut down all the smaller FOBs in Afghanistan and to ship everything back, because at that time, we were actually closing down Afghanistan for the maybe first or second time in history. And, so we went over, we deployed, we went to all the different FOBs throughout Afghanistan, and we shipped everything back, took an inventory. We were actually closing down those FOBs.
And what is a FOB?
A FOB is like a small base. So
forward operating base?
Yes. It's very small. Not all of them are small, but you have some small ones to where you could probably run around the whole FOB just for exercise. Like maybe it's probably only maybe 2 or 3 miles around in some cases. And most of those FOBs are so small, you can't land a C-130, you can't land a C-17. The only way in and out is either convoy, Chinook, or Blackhawk. And that's just how small it is.
Okay. And with your tour, or as far as with your years of service, what would you say the most valuable experience or transferable skills that you brought back with you, or things that you learned?
One thing I can say is how to be a leader. That was my biggest thing. My mom and dad always told me, like, hey, you're a natural born leader. And I didn't know how true that was until I joined the Army. And then once I joined the Army, I don't know. It just I just went with the flow. I started taking over formations, and next thing you know, my first sergeant said, hey, Specialist Brown, PFC Brown, come on up here and take over the formation. And, at that rank, most specialists, PFCs, they don't take over formation. Usually you have like an E5, a sergeant, staff sergeant. They'd take over the formation, just for the simple fact that he would call me up there all the time to do that. I used to lead PT, No one in my rank was leading PT. They didn't know how. They sent me off actually to it's called WLC. It's Warriors Leader Course. And that's the course you have to take in order to become an E5, a sergeant. Mm-hmm. They sent me to that course as an E3, which was a PFC. So I really wasn't supposed to go to the course until I was a E4, which is a specialist. And the only reason why I went is because all of our specialists at the time didn't want to go because they said they weren't ready. So my Staff Sergeant Munoz, I never forget his name, he said, "Hey, Brown, pack your bags, you're going." I said, "Well, hey, Sergeant, I was supposed to go back home on leave." He said, "Yeah, you can cancel that. You can go on leave once your school's over." So I'm like, okay. And then my first sergeant comes out. He's like, "Hey, Brown, you're going to WLC as a PFC?" I'm like, "Yes, first sergeant, I guess so." He said, "Well, guess what? We're going to go ahead and submit your packet now." And the next thing you know, I was in WLC, probably one of the youngest in age, youngest in rank. And then I ended up coming out in the top 10% of my class.
Fantastic. Well, obvious leader when you take up the baton and run with it like that. That's a great story. But we're going to take a quick break here right now. When we come back, we'll hear more from Kerry and his experiences with the Dayton VA.
I was in the military, and I didn't know that when I left, I was eligible for health care through the VA. I thought you had to be disabled or have been wounded. Another vet told me I should check it out. Now I have the care I need at the Dayton VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's MyVA. Make it your VA today.
To enroll, call 937-268-6511, extension 5336, or visit dayton.va.gov.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I do solemnly swear to bear true faith and allegiance.
To help you when you're in need.
To be considerate and caring, courageous and strong.
To tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
For better.
For worse.
In sickness and in health.
To love and cherish.
To be your loving, faithful friend, partner, child, parent, neighbor.
One of our most important commitments is to support our nation's veterans. Learn how you can help a veteran experiencing mental health challenges at maketheconnection.net.
And we're back with Army veteran Kerry Brown. So tell us, Kerry, how did you first discover the VA? You had a very active Army career. You got out, you came back to Dayton, but what turned you on to the VA?
Well, actually, my dad turned me on to the VA. My dad, he goes to the VA for any of his checkups, health problems, all that good stuff. So as soon as I got home, he just told me, like, hey, you need to get your VA stuff together, and you need to go ahead and register for your health care. And, if you want to start using the VA, you can. Now, I did have an option. My wife she was a benefits coordinator or benefits specialist. And usually she will look at the benefits for any job that I take or she takes. And usually I let her control which benefits we're going to take. So I've always taken her benefits since I've been out the Army, just because the benefits were better. But I did register with the Dayton VA Healthcare, and I did start going because I did want to start using it, especially, for my disability ratings and all that stuff.
Right. And it's kind of seems to be a recurring theme that spouses tend to weigh in heavily and make those decisions about where you're going to get your health care insurance, et cetera, and so forth. But it's great to hear that you actually went ahead and looked at the options that, you can have health care through a spouse's benefits, but that doesn't mean that you should discount the opportunity to take advantage of benefits through the VA, especially since some of those benefits are so key to serving veterans' needs, veteran-specific needs.
Exactly.
And to that, you helped a lot of veterans. You understand that some of them have disability ratings or need disability ratings to take care of those special needs. And you and I have talked recently about the expansion of some of those services through the recently signed law for the PACT Act, and how that's expanding care to veterans, especially those who, like you, I'm looking at your hat right now, you're wearing an Enduring Freedom hat. So folks that are coming back from OIF, OEF, plus this act actually affects people that actually served in the Korean War, the Vietnam War, anybody who might have been exposed to toxins of any kind. And we were talking before the interview about our experiences and how we may not even known about some of the exposures. But you're actually going to go ahead and take advantage of that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We've got Kerry, he actually learned how to sign in, and that it's only a 20-minute process to fill out a questionnaire. This is something that we actually are telling all veterans, whether you are enrolled in the VA already or not, that you really want to register for the PACT Act if you have served in Korea or Vietnam or any conflict post 9/11, because you don't know if you're going to need those services. You may not know if there's a lot of what we call presumptive conditions that qualify you, which some of them are cancers that you may not develop until later in life. So we are encouraging everybody to go to pactact.gov and get online and log in and register yourself. Again, whether you're already enrolled in the VA healthcare system or not, they want to be able to identify those individuals who need to. So yes, we're really encouraging everyone to go out, whether you're enrolled or not, to actually get online and go to the pactact.gov. That's PACT.gov. I'm sorry. That's PACT.gov. And it's only a 20-minute process to go through a questionnaire and determine whether or not you might be eligible. And if you are, you definitely want to register. It doesn't mean that you are giving up any other healthcare options. This is giving you more options. So again, we really encourage everyone to get out there and register for this. So Kerry, tell us also what your experience with the Dayton VA has been so far.
So since I've been home, I've been to the Dayton VA maybe about 2 or 3 times since I've been home, because usually I go to the Springfield VA. That's my home VA.
Right.
Growing up, I always used to hear all these stories about the Dayton VA, like, we need to get better, we need to do this, they need to do that. But since I've gotten older and I've started attending the Dayton VA, I didn't have any issues when I went. I mean, all my appointments, I'm there on time, maybe sit for 5 minutes, if that. They get me in, they get me out, they get me all the information I need, and I'm out the door. So all the stories about the wait time and, being unprofessional, I didn't see any of that when I went. My experience was great. I had a good experience.
Yeah, we hear that from most veterans, that it's a very pleasurable environment, that everyone there is very friendly and very helpful, and we love hearing those compliments. And like you said, you're not waiting around, right?
No.
And so, do you have problems with getting an appointment?
Not at all. I mean, I call in to my provider and they're like, hey, this is the day we have. I mean, you want to go ahead and take yours at the time. Then after that, they send you your letter in the mail. They send you an email as a reminder. Then they send you another one as a confirmation. And I mean, yes, they
if
call
there's anything
you.
to complain about, it's the number of times that they remind you through the phone call, through the postcard, through another phone call.
The text.
Yes, the text.
It's at least about 5 or 6 times before your appointment.
Right. But that's the service that's provided, the level of service that's provided. They want to make sure that you're there and that you're taken care of and that you receive those services.
And that is something that a lot of times, this isn't to do like an extreme comparison or to knock any other healthcare providers or service out, but that's something that you just normally don't see far as out in the world, as so to speak, far as in civilian care. Now, some of the things that you have mentioned, and that is that you were told about the VA, far as from your father. So you went and you had heard stories as you were growing up.
Yes.
Like I had heard stories far as from my parents and so forth, but it's a whole new world once you experience it for yourself. Do you have any veterans that you have met who kind of, when you offered to assist them, that they've kind of backed off and said, I'm not going because of?
Yes, I've ran into maybe one or two. I mean, we're talking one of two out of, 20, 30 veterans. And the thing is, out of those two, you never know. Someone might have been having a bad day at the VA and they came across them. You just never know what happened. But, their biggest thing was the wait time. And which I can understand. You have an appointment, you want to get in, you want to get out. Some people take time off from work, they go to these appointments, and then when you're taking that time up, you have to put in PTO, PPL, and that's eating that time up. And that's time that person could be using, family time, anything. So, I understand their frustration.
Yeah,
but out of those two veterans, mainly everyone so far has had a good experience.
And that's great to hear. And that's what we strive for. Our organization is always striving for is for that 10 in order to reach that 10 right there. So it's really great to hear that. And especially you're a part of the stakeholders. So you have a interest in ensuring that, hey, if you hear something that's not working, that you're bringing it far as to the leadership's ears.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And so why do you choose to use the Springfield Clinic?
Well, going back to my old pal Jerry, he actually referred me to Dr. Z, which is my primary care doctor. And he was like, hey, it doesn't matter which VA you go to. It doesn't matter to me. He's like, I go to Dr. Z. I think he's like one of the best. So I'm like, okay, well, so far you've been right about everything. You've helped me out this far. So you know what? I think I will go ahead and give Dr. Z a try. And then ever since, even from the first time I went to Dr. Z, I really like Dr. Z. So ever since then, I'm just like, you know what? I think Springfield is going to be my home VA and Dr. Z, he's going to be my doctor.
Right. I think that's something that we don't actually say enough on these podcasts is that, this is all from the Dayton VA. And the Dayton VA actually has 4 clinics throughout an 18-county region, one of them being in Springfield, another being up in Lima, another being over in Richmond in Indiana, and one being down in Middletown. So there's that convenience there that a lot of people don't realize. They don't have to get their shots and passport to travel all the way to Dayton. You can go to your VA clinic within a very relatively short period of time for most people. Very, very convenient, and all the care you could possibly get. And again, if you have the need for that specialty care, then the larger facility is there for that. Or we provide community care as well. So. Thank you for reminding us of that and being a very strong advocate of the Springfield CBOC or community-based outpatient clinic. We really appreciate all your efforts with that. It's been great having you here today, Kerry. I want to thank you very much for sharing your story. Very unique one, very good one, and we love hearing stories from veterans like you and around the Western Ohio region. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone.
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
But treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA Medical Center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
If you're homeless or at risk of becoming homeless, we can help. We offer many programs and services, including free health care, and we can help you connect with resources in your community. We help veterans who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless due to financial hardship, unemployment, addiction, depression, or transition from jail. Contact one of our care coordinators to get help with immediate food and shelter needs, including both transitional and permanent housing, job training, life skills development, and education, justice system navigation, and community reentry from jail, financial support to prevent homelessness, addiction, and depression treatment, along with health and dental care. Now, if you or someone you know that's a veteran who is homeless or at risk of becoming homeless due to financial hardship, unemployment, addiction, depression, or transitioning from jail, the VA Medical Center can help you. Contact a homeless services care coordinator to get help. Contact our health care coordinator at 937-268-6511, extension 1364.
I was in the military. I didn't know that when I left, I was eligible for health care through the VA. I thought you had to be disabled or been wounded. Another vet told me I should check it out. Now, I have the care I need at the Dayton VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
Call 937-268-6511, extension 2159 to enroll, or visit dayton.va.gov.
We want to say thanks again to our special guests for taking time today to share their story. We truly enjoy hearing stories from veterans from across the region and learning more about how they found care through the Dayton VA Medical Center. And as always, we want to thank our listeners for joining us and remind them, if they are a veteran and are not enrolled, to enroll with the Veterans Health Administration to receive health care benefits through the Dayton VA Medical Center. It's easy and it doesn't cost a thing. You just need to be a veteran. The simplest way to start enrollment is to call our enrollment and eligibility office at 937-268-6511, extension 4105. They can schedule an appointment for you to come to the Dayton campus or help make an appointment at one of the surrounding community-based outpatient clinics located at Springfield, Richmond, Lima, and Middletown. Again, that number is 937-268-6511, extension 4105. Veterans may also enroll by visiting www.choose.va.gov/health. While there, you can choose from applying online or by phone or by mail. It's just that simple, really. As I said before, it doesn't cost a thing to apply. So what are you waiting for? Call us today. Or if you know of a veteran who is not enrolled, have them call to start taking advantage of this benefit. If you're a veteran, it's your VA. Sign up today. Join us again for another episode of MyVA Dayton with the Dayton VA Medical Center. Our episodes drop the 1st and 15th of each month. I'm Scott Leese with your co-host Greg Tucker. Thanks again for listening to MyVA Dayton.